Hello and welcome to the Unfiltered Experience with Tara and Louisa.
We are two girls who speak the truth about the struggle of never feeling enough whilst growing up in a world of filters and comparison.
Here we will have raw, relatable and authentic conversations to empower you on your path to self-development.
Come with us on the journey of unlearning.
Welcome back to our final episode with our beautiful Tara. Today, Tara will be recording for the last time before she goes on this next journey
Of giving birth.
to a human being.
Which is quite scary, might I add.
Yes, so we will absolutely miss you and love you.
But you're going to smash it. It's going to be fine.
It'll be me on my own, so please keep listening so I don't turn on myself. But I'll be having like guests and doing some solo episodes, so we'll still be running things over here.
It'll be great.
But we will definitely miss you.
And I will miss my weekly sessions down here in the studio. It's been such a journey. So super proud of everything we've achieved this far though. The last year has been fucking wild and incredible. And we've come so far, like a lot further than I thought. So
Yeah.
I'm really impressed. But unfortunately, I decided to get knocked up midway through, and this is the consequence.
Well, I feel like this has been your life goal, is to have a baby and to mother that child. And so we fully support that, and we're very excited over here to see you take on that path and live your dream.
And a good segue into this week's episode, I fully manifested this.
Yes.
I spoke about this. This was like my dream, my goal, my desire, everything I wanted for years. And so if you're wondering if manifestation works, it does.
Yes, that brings us into today's episode, which is week 6 of our course, which is a very important week, manifesting a healthy partner or manifesting whatever you desire in your current relationship. So if you've taken our course and you're in a relationship already, you can manifest the person you want to show up as, or manifest more of what you desire in the relationship, or it might be about manifesting someone completely from scratch.
Absolutely. And we did just speak about this off air. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Off air. And we were talking about how the most important thing to manifestation is uncovering your blocks. And I think not trying to plug the course, but you know, the work that we do in the 5 weeks leading up to week 6 is so crucial to being able to manifest the life you desire. Because if we can't let go of all the things holding us back from manifesting our dream partner, which would be like our old limiting beliefs and our doubts about ourselves and, you know, our triggers and our patterns and all those sorts of things, then we can't just jump into this brand new life. Like, we need to clear the past to kind of segue to the future.
It's not something that you think of when you do manifestation work. Oh, I need to clear the trauma of the past first. You want to jump to that sort of positive, high vibrational practices, but you cannot jump to those without dealing with the beliefs underneath. And that's what we look at, you know, throughout the course, or what you look at in therapy or whatever.
I remember actually being at the Mind, Body and Spirit Festival, which is probably where my spiritual journey started 10 years ago. But I went and saw a seminar and I watched this lady speaking, and she was talking about affirmations and how amazing they are, and rewiring our brain is so important to speak kindly to ourselves so we start believing it, rah, rah, rah. But she said there is no use slapping a positive on top of a negative. Like, eventually that negative is going to come through. So even if you're saying to yourself every day, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that, if you still believe the opposite, you're still going to act out the opposite. So it's like uncovering and kind of like airing that belief so that you can then move into the new vibration.
In this part of the course, you would have done the crux of that work, or at least, you know, gotten into the awareness or the surface of it. Now, in this week, we set you up to get into some of those fun, high vibrational tasks and get really clear and intentional about who and what that person withholds in their value system and who you want to manifest in your life.
So important. And I think it can feel really like icky at the start when you first start this process, because it's like going so far against what we've done for so long, which is just like repeat patterns, and breaking a pattern means like doing something differently. And when we start to talk about what we want for ourselves, sometimes that can be so uncomfortable because it's like, I don't feel like I deserve this. Even after doing all the work, it's like, oh, like, am I actually able to attract this person? And it might be like, you know, say you're doing one of our tasks and you're writing like this big list of all the qualities you want in a partner, and it's like you kind of think that it's way too far out of your reach. Like, you can feel so uncomfortable to try
Totally.
and do that, but just push past.
Yeah. I find it quite amazing when you look back at those exercises and how accurate they are to what comes into fruition. Like the house that I moved into, that just as an example, I wrote down with my partner everything we wanted in our next home, and literally, without obviously there was a lot of fear along the journey, but we got everything that we had written down. And we've been in a rental crisis. Things have been really rough recently. Like, I genuinely didn't think that was possible. And I had a lot of fear associated with what I was trying to manifest, but it's still, the universe looked after me and it still came into fruition. And I just want to share that message is like, everyone deserves what they desire. And you know, when you put intention behind it and you practice moving into that high vibrational frequency, things happen.
I literally just watched this play out with my partner when he was finding a new office space, and you know, he was going for all of these things that were either like not quite what he wanted, not with the location, not with the car parks, whatever. And it was funny how like, even though he was compromising himself over and over again, he still kept getting back no's. And it was like no after no after no. And then all of a sudden, when you're burnt out from looking, the thing pops up with everything you want. And it's like throughout that process, I mean, I've lived this so many times, but it was interesting to watch someone else live this, to get kind of burnt out of like trying. And it's like the universe is doing its thing. The universe is giving you what you want, but it's not wrapped up the way you think it's going to be wrapped up to look like.
Yes.
And it feels like a rejection, or it feels like, oh, I'm not getting what I want. But really, it's actually taking you closer to what you do want. And I noticed that when you guys were looking for houses as well, it was kind of just like this long drawn out process of like, it's got this, but not that. And it's here, but not there. And all of these things. And then all of a sudden, the one presents itself.
And I think there's a key ingredient that you just explained there is like when you give up, when you let go, when you just get tired, and that's usually that wanting and that like needing for your manifestation can block your desire because you're in the wanting rather than in that energetic sort of allowing things to come in.
The surrender.
No,
I love it. And to be honest, like, when I was going through the transition of my previous relationship to my current relationship, I don't know why I called it a transition. It was definitely just a year of being single.
Transition period.
But I felt a lot of rejection over time because and I've said this to a close friend of mine who is kind of going through this at the moment, and it feels like you're not getting what you want. But what it is like you're valuing yourself so much that you're actually not compromising for something less. And I think that's what we do so many times is we take the easier route, the lesser option, whatever presents itself first, and we just be okay with that. But when you start to do the work and you start to believe that you're worthy of something better, especially a better relationship, when the half-assed person shows up giving you like the bare minimum, you might feel like, oh, like I'm so drained by this because here I am again with the same person doing the same things. Like it's not quite what I want. You can feel like a little bit, burnt out by looking, but it's like, but I think what it actually is like your values of what you want are more important. And you're actually kind of forced to be patient to wait for that because when you ask, the universe will give you, but it's not necessarily when you want it or how you want it to be. And that's what I was saying. For me, like it was like, it wasn't in the time frame I wanted it to be in, and that was really hard to sit with, but it ended up being more and better than I could have ever imagined because I waited.
The timing, the universe is in the timing of everything. And that's what we have to trust, is that it might not be on our timeline, but the timeline that it will be on will be better than what we imagined.
100%.
So let's get into some of our actionable manifestation techniques that we have used.
Yeah.
A key part of manifestation, and you would have heard us talk about this before, is you need to get into the feeling. So our bodies, I mean, there's a whole heap of science to back this. I don't know the studies and I can't be bothered butchering them on the podcast, but essentially our brain and our body doesn't know the difference between a real emotion and a real circumstance happening and a imagined circumstance or feeling. So so when we're in meditation and we're practicing feeling good, we're practicing gratitude, we're practicing embodying high vibrational feelings and experiences, we're visualizing those experiences, our body and our brain experiences them as if they're happening. So we become a match for those experiences. And that's what we want to do, because when we are vibrating at the same energy frequency as the experience that we want to bring in, we manifest it. So like attracts like. That's the foundation of law of attraction. If that really confuses you, I'll leave some links in the show notes because, you know, we don't have all the time in the world, but there's plenty and plenty of resources that will explain it better than me. So if we're vibrating at a frequency of manifesting a healthy partner, we want to vibrate at a frequency where we are secure, we feel worthy within ourselves, we have a high belief system, we have high self-esteem, because then we're going to attract a person that reflects those beliefs. Because whether we like it or not, we attract a partner that is going to mirror our triggers. Historically, if we've been in toxic relationships, it is likely that there is a wound, a deeper wound that that partner has highlighted within us that would have already been there in childhood or, you know, early adulthood, whatever. And so what we need to do is heal those wounds in order to attract healthier or more aligned love than what we've experienced. We want to make sure that we're living in a state, or we're practicing living in a state where we are prioritizing feeling healthy, feeling aligned, and feeling good within ourselves. Because when we feel good within ourselves, we attract people that are on that journey with us.
And I think that that's why a lot of what we spoke about in the last few weeks is so important on this journey, because, and there's a reason that manifestation's at the end, because like everything you just said, it's all about our self-esteem. And sometimes it's about faking it till we make it, you know, like getting into that vibration, all that sort of stuff. But if you're doing the work, your self-esteem is going to grow. It's just inevitable. And I think that, as we value ourselves more, then we believe we're deserving of more. All right, let's get into a tangible exercise, because I felt like such a fraud when I did this the first time. And granted, I was in a very dark place in my life, but someone suggested to me to start trying to manifest what I wanted in my life. And that wasn't just a partner. It was like, where do I want to live? Who do I want to be? How do I want to feel? How do I want to show up? What career do I want? And in that, what partner do I want? Because I think that coincides with everything else. You know, it's a manifestation, it's a vision of where I want to go. And I remember sitting down and writing this list, and I've shared about this in the podcast before. Go back to our other manifestation episode. There's lots of really fun tools to use in that one. But an experience that I can rely upon as my own that hands down worked for me was writing out everything that I wanted in my life as if I already had it. And I felt like a fraud writing this, because at the time, to say I'm really grateful for my love for myself and my love for my partner seemed so far away, because that was not where I was at the time. But I got into this vibration where it was like the 8th of the 8th. It was the Lionsgate portal, which was apparently, according to TikTok, a really good day to manifest. And I was clutching at straws at this point. You know, I was willing to do anything. And I sat down, put my manifestation music on, got into the vibe, lit a candle, whatever. And I wrote this list, and it was a whole landscape of how I wanted my life to be. It was all inclusive of everything, how I wanted to feel, like I said, everything. And I dated it the 8th of the 8th the year later. And to think that my life would change that drastically in a year seemed like it wouldn't. Like it just was like, there's just no way. But I'm like, I'm willing to do anything, so let's just give it a go. Wrote this list, folded it up, put it in my drawer, and I think I might have actually written a letter to you as well, because that was part of the exercise, was to then write a letter to my best friend saying, this is where my life is. I'm so grateful for this. I'm so grateful for that. Now, I put that in my drawer and I completely forgot about it. I didn't even Jerry that I'd done that. It didn't cross my radar at all. And I went through a lot of things in that year that made me think that that was not a possibility. Now, I'm born on the 5th of the 8th. So my birthday was a significant point in this story, because it was kind of like 3 days later was when I wrote that letter. And I remember waking up on my birthday and I was in a private villa at the Peninsula Hot Springs. My partner and I had stayed there overnight. And I woke up and like opened the blinds to this like beautiful, you know, vision outside my window of like greenery and just like stunningness. We stayed in one of those like glamping tents, and I remember opening the blinds and just thinking, oh my fucking God, like, oh my fucking God, like I need to get back to this list. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Because it just jerried. I was like, this list. And I ran home and I wasn't living at home, and I remember like running through all my drawers and I was like, where's this fucking list? Like, where's my mum put it? And I opened the drawer, found the list, pulled it out, and I swear to God, I kid you not, I went down that list. It was like I was living where I wanted to live by the beach. I had the partner I wanted to have right next to me in bed on my birthday. I had the car that I wanted. I was enrolled in the uni that I wanted to go to. I had the job I wanted. I had the money in the bank. I had everything I could imagine. And it was like one of those moments where I was like, oh my God, like I cannot believe that my life has changed this much. And I think it was a really clear indication of where I was at the time, because I just remember thinking like, this just seems so far away in 12 months. And here I was waking up and it was my reality. And then so, you know what, I got it out, 8th of the 8th, did it again, you know, like, and so I just completely like repeated that pattern over and over again, trying to carry out that manifestation. And it has worked for me every time. And I think the next year was another one that really stood out to me, because this time I kind of had everything that I wanted. And I really wanted to start manifesting for other people too. And I thought, I've got this gift, like I can give and I want to create and all this sort of stuff. And I just want to start envisioning my life for those around me. Bless my mum, but she had not had a long-term relationship for a really long time, and that's what I wanted for her. And I wrote down all this stuff specifically outlining my mum's relationship. And it was so funny 12 months later to read it again, to look back, and she'd manifested her partner as well. And I was like, God, I've got this gift. I can give it to others. And it was a really cool experience.
Beautiful. Can you give it to me? Yeah, the list writing exercise is so powerful, especially because it can also be used as a tool to, like a tangible tool to check your reality. You might go out, finish the course, go into this sort of dating scene. You write down the ideal or the non-negotiables of the partner that you want to manifest, so that they're loyal, their value system, that you have fun with them, whatever, right? And then you get out into the dating scene, and maybe it is a bit of a tough go out there, and you might start to go, oh, but maybe this guy, what about this guy? And you can go back to that list and go, you know, does this guy have the values that I've written down? And remind yourself of the journey you've been on and what you deserve, because I know we can easily forget. That's the hard thing with like self-development work and manifestation, is we learn all these amazing tools. We learn all these ways to think and these ways to perceive the world. But when we're out there, we forget and we revert to old habits.
We compromise.
Yeah.
Like we're like, oh, this will do, you know, like I'll take the next best thing.
Yeah, this feels good, so it must be it, and I'll make it work. But it's important to really stay grounded in a practice. And I think like if you really want to manifest consistently, I mean, it's really important to learn how to consistently regulate yourself to be in a regulated state, like a regulated emotional state, because when we feel good and we're regulated, we attract better circumstances. So if we're constantly on this like roller coaster of up and down, it can be harder to stay grounded in those goals. And, you know, a big way to consistently manifest is like having that morning routine or having a nighttime routine, whether that's like journaling and like getting really honest and connected to yourself, and like having this like direct dialogue with yourself that's really authentic. We, for the course, actually created 2 manifestation meditations, one that is specifically about visualizing your partner and visualizing the partner that you want to manifest. So feel free to jump over to our YouTube and do those. I'll put them in the show notes. And then another meditation is on surrendering. So the last step of manifestation, which is the last day in our course, is all about surrendering the manifestation. The best way to do these meditations is you do 7 days of the visualization meditation, and then on the last day, so the 8th day, you do the surrender meditation and you fully let go. We want to try our best to manifest and put out to the universe what we want, but then we also want to let go, because we don't want to be holding on to that like wanting and needing, because that will block the desire.
We have to have faith that what is meant for us will come.
Yeah.
And I find that probably the hardest part, because like we're kind of grown up in such a society of like you hustle and you grind and you go and get and la la la, and like you make it yours. And it's like when you start to manifest, you actually do the whole opposite, and where it's just like you just wait. And I think with surrender, sometimes people can get a little bit twisted of like, oh, I'm not putting any action in. It's like you actually put the action and you surrender the outcome. That's the important thing to remember, because people think, oh, I just sit back and just let life happen for me. And it's like, no, that's not what we're talking about. Do all the work, do all the tasks, you know, like
take all the action.
Take all the action and then just let go.
Yeah, a good way to let go is to like physically let go. A good practice that I use is I'll write something down. I'll do all the bits, like all the lists and all the meditations and whatever, and then I'll write it down on a piece of paper, and then I'll put it to like this. I have a little like Buddha statue that I give it to, or some people might like burn it or put it in the river or whatever. And every time I have done that whatever I have written down has come to an outcome. So when I was in my current relationship, when we were in that like we're exclusive but not in a relationship phase, I wrote down, because I was like, oh, you know, like I'm sort of ready for the label. And I wrote down on that, I was like in obsession about it. And so I wrote it down and did all the practices and gave it away and surrendered. And that weekend we had the conversation and I became his girlfriend.
Isn't it wild?
Wild. And then in my past relationship, I had this like really deep fear that he was going to relapse in his recovery. And I had been toying with this sort of like a control around his recovery for the entirety of the relationship. And I finally surrendered. Like went through this practice with a mentor, and I wrote it down and I gave it to the Buddha, and I let go. And that weekend he relapsed.
Wow.
And I was like, I've got my answer.
Literally.
You know?
And that's what I think is important about like surrendering, attracting a new partner too, because they will show you who they are if they're not the one. You know, like the universe is going to give you a clear sign.
Yeah.
And if you're holding on to an outcome, you're going to miss the signs. You know what I mean? And sometimes like I've literally said, universe, give me a big fucking sign. And that was your big fucking sign.
That was a big old sign.
That was a big old sign. It couldn't be more clear. I remember doing a visualization meditation and humbling myself here on the podcast. But I had started seeing my current partner and I wanted the relationship, right? And he was playing a bit hard to get at the beginning. And I remember doing this visualization meditation about like imagining our life together. And the first thing I found was like us in his apartment, sun was setting, we were cooking dinner together. It was just like this moment. And I remember when he left me and broke up with me and it was all over, and I was like, I didn't get my fucking sunset dinner. Like I was like, I visualized that. And I was just so confused because I thought, that was what I was trying to manifest. Like, why is this not working for me? And look, everything that happened in the beginning of our relationship was exactly how it was meant to be for us to be where we are now. And when he came back to me and we reconnected, which was divine timing for both of us, I got my sons at dinner, and it was like everything I was manifesting was still there, but it just, other things needed to happen first.
It wasn't ready.
It wasn't ready. And
Divine timing.
Divine timing. And I had to surrender that. Like I had to let it go. And I was like, if it's meant for me, it will come back. And it came back and it exactly happened the way I thought it was going to.
Wow.
Crazy.
Well, as we come to the end of the episode, we just want to thank you for making it this far. We will see you again next week. I will see you again next week, but I'll
be watching from the sidelines.
Tara will be liking the videos.
Yeah, don't you worry. I'm right here.
So, yeah, please go easy on me.
I might become an unlearner now.
Yeah, you'll be an unlearner.
Yeah, I'll be a listener.
And please send me any episodes or guests or Q&As. I want you to send me any questions to our email or just message us on either TikTok or Instagram. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.